Another thing that we're going to get into today is where the NAARU come from. I believe that the NAARU, at this point, I think that it is reasonable and timeline-wise, I think it lines up. And I think that hints that are referring to this situation also line up with the origin of the NAARU being the Titans. The NAARU were forged, according to Zira, the Light Mother, during the Great Ordering of the Cosmos. And the NAARU came and rescued the Eridar in like the last moment to save them from the Legion. I believe the Titans took Void, which in its origin, this does not have to be mutually exclusive. What we know about the light and then the void happening does not have to be untrue. The Titans, listen, Xalatath has a whisper that talks about, it's in the Netherlight Crucible, that talks about how she says, their research into the void here is commendable, but ultimately futile. How could they possibly hope to understand what the Titans could not? And I think Xalatath is lying. I think that line in particular is a lie. It might be true. Let's pretend for a second that it is, but I think it is probably a lie. It works either way. If the Titans do not understand the nature of the void, then I think it unlikely that they would have been able to craft the NAARU. However, I believe that they do have the ability. I think that they do understand what the void is. Think about this. The Holy NAARU are basically a counter to the Legion. So as Sargeras creates his demonic burning legion, so too have the Titans forged these beings of light, most likely out of the void, by the way, and sent them out to act as shepherds and saviors of mortal races, specifically like the Eridar, right? The NAARU create two different factions. One is those who go with Adal in the Genadar and Velen and leave Argus and try to escape. And then there are those who go with Zira on the Zenadar and become part of the Army of the Light, which then stays around specifically to fight the demons. The Army of the Light exists specifically to fight the demons. They are fighting against them all the time. But Sargeras had considered the light to essentially be not an issue, that he had essentially defeated it. So what I'm getting to is that, like, essentially you have these orderly crystal beings of light and feel-good energy that ultimately will go to void. Like, we know that that will happen. We know, and the NAARU themselves have even admitted it, that the natural progression will shift them into void, and that something will have to replenish the light inside of them in order for them to return to the light. We have seen this occur with alternate Velen and alternate Draenor when he restores the Dark Star by sacrificing himself to do it. We know that it can be done. On the note of NAARU and their changing light, I do think that the crystal in the sky in Hollowfall is a NAARU. I do think that it is on the precipice of turning into void, or as though it were kind of a light that perhaps is almost about to burn out. It's kind of flickering back and forth between, because this is happening randomly. However, I will say that it would not surprise me if things that we do in the zone act as worship to it, and somewhat replenish the light within it in some capacity. Perhaps things that we kill are doing something that would do that. But I'm almost certain that it's a NAARU because we have evidence of them acting and behaving in this way before. Although it does take a very long amount of time normally, we do learn from Locust Walker and Legion that the influence of mortals greatly accelerates this transition. We know that to be true. So, we're going to talk more about that. The themes of Dragonflight should be telling you something about the Titans. That is that the Titans will not just resort to arcane magics to wrest control. I want to make like a conceptual point about some cosmic forces really quick while we have the opportunity. So, order is something that can exist as a part of other cosmic forces. Disorder is something that can exist as a part of other cosmic forces. For example, life is more disorderly and chaotic than death. Death is far more uniform, far more orderly, to an extent far more predictable. Death is a form of order. Also, light, the holy light, is a form of order. The void is a form of disorder, in that it is entropy made manifest, and that the light is stasis made manifest to a degree. So I'm saying this because while the cosmic forces are uniquely identifiable on their own, some of their traits actually apply to each other. And I'm saying this because something that you can infer from this is that because the Titans canonically swore an oath to protect life whenever possible, Titans would likely attempt to always utilize forms of order that do not cause harm to life. That would mean that the Titans generally would seek to, I would posit then, utilize forms of order other than, and I want to express as well that order magic is not very different, if really different, from domination magic. You're essentially commanding the matter, the time and space in front of you, to adhere to your will. When a mage casts a fire spell, it is not pulling it from the elements like a shaman does. A mage is bending reality. A mage is essentially ordering the matter to act in a certain way. So keep in mind a couple things. While the void is chaos, we know that there is a natural, natural or unnatural, however you want to call it. We know that there is a fluctuation that occurs between the light and the void. We know that where light exists, eventually, like a NAARU, for example, it will fade into void. Now, I think that this is because the NAARU essentially are like batteries, okay? And they get powered up, I would assume, with souls and or a life, as we see Velen again give himself to replenish the NAARU. They were forged by someone or something during the great ordering of the cosmos that has knowledge of the conflict of the Burning Legion and of the Titans. This is important because the NAARU didn't... I was under the impression for a while that the NAARU didn't, that they weren't like a new thing to the Eridar. For some reason, I had thought that the NAARU had been a part of the Eridar on Argus for like a long time. But then I started reading into that more, and that's actually not true. The more I realized how short notice the NAARU actually showed up, the more I realized that they like barely made it in time. Like something literally made the NAARU and sent it to the Eridar specifically for the purpose of combating the Legion and saving the Draenei and taking them away and keeping life, helping life, carry on, right? This is like this kind of like alarmed me because I was like, wait a second. If this is the case, if the Titans would be willing to utilize order outside of just the arcane, and we just discussed that light is a form of order, then the Titans would certainly be willing to use light. In fact, perhaps even because of the nature of the light, the Titans would feel good about using it. When you read through the Dreadlord book that comes from Shadowlands and it talks about them infiltrating all the different cosmic forces, the way that it talks about the light is really important, and I'm going to get to that today. But it talks about how as long as the light believes it's right, that's what matters. And I think Zira is a super interesting and important expression of that. Zira is actually special when we're on the talking point of a NAARU. Zira is the prime NAARU, the Light Mother. She is one of the first to be forged during, like I said, what is known as the Great Ordering of the Cosmos. Now, some of you will think that this is tinfoil, and I don't blame you. But when you look at the runes over Zira's head, I've said this before, they look like the letters O-E-R-A-N, which is very obviously an anagram for Aeonar, okay? If Aeonar wants to keep life alive, right, and wants to stop what the Burning Legion is doing, which is canonically accurate, then the NAARU would very well serve the purpose of doing so. They are freaky, however, because we know that inevitably what happens to them. They descend to void. They turn into void. And like Locust Walker says, when mortals are around, this happens even faster. Wasn't Zira killed? Yes. You know why Zira was killed? Because Zira was looking for Illidan's Stormrage. Because Illidan's Stormrage had a soul that was forged as well during the Great Ordering of the Cosmos that had a preordained destiny written upon it. And Illidan did not want that. That's the whole shtick with Illidan's character trope. His free will, right? His destiny is his own. He is his scars, right? It's not about the fate which light has determined for him. It's about what he wants, what he thinks is right. It's his decision. It's about freedom. Illidan is a big freedom guy. He likes freedom big time. So think about this. Illidan is up on the seat of the Pantheon. If he starts hearing the Titans talk about things that don't really sound like freedom, Illidan's probably not going to like that. Illidan is not going to... If the Titans start going, yeah, we're going to control... Like, now you're fucked, Sargeras. If that occurs, they're not going to... He's not going to like that. And I also hate to say this, guys, but when the Titans return Sargeras to the seat of the Pantheon, the beam that is, flying down upon him does not dissipate instantly. It's not like it just teleports him there. It's like hitting him. And I didn't consider this possibility until very recently, but I think that they may be ordering him right then and there. And I think that the cutscene ends there because you're not meant to see what is underneath the beam of light. But Illidan is going to find out, and I think when that beam of light fades, it is going to become very evident to Illidan that that is not Sargeras anymore. Not the Sargeras that he knows at all. I'm really worried that it's too late for that. And as the scene fades to Velen and Magni and Khadgar standing on the Vindicar, it gets really bright, like really bright. And you know, there is that saying that stars burn their brightest just before they go out. And it just freaks me out, because if Sargeras is a pure expression of disorder, of chaos, then that's pretty antithetical to what the Titans would want. And that does imply, and as we've seen with domination magic before, when someone is under the effects of domination magic, they're not really themselves anymore. If the Titans created the NAARU, then what we know about the Void is technically true. That Void Lords do exist. I mean, the Dreadlords say as much in their writings. What if NAARU are naturally void and Titans just flip them? Think about this. Is a NAARU the result of the Titans trying to order entropy itself? Is that why Xal'atath sees, and why the Void sees the NAARU as simply beloved brethren who have lost the true path? They'll return in time, though. I don't think the Void is actually concerned about the light, because if the light fades away, the Void exists anyways. You can't have one without the other. That's been made very evident to me. The NAARU make that super fucking clear. So when people say like, oh, well, what's above the NAARU? Like, what's the light equivalent of a Void Lord? It's a NAARU. It is a NAARU. Like the crystal, the order itself. Think about this. Think about like taking entropy itself, putting it into a form of order, hence the crystalline structure, and then charging it, creating holy light. And that appears to be this great thing, but we know that when it runs out, it inevitably goes back to void. And then what happens to spirits and souls of the dead that are nearby if a void NAARU is nearby? Do you guys know what happens? They get pulled into it. Why? Because it's fuel. They're trying to power back up. They sing a song of sadness because they're like a battery with no energy anymore. And then eventually, what do they turn into? The entropy within them breaks down the crystal and they turn into a Void Lord. Or, I posit, back into a Void Lord. The Titans not understanding the Void is a lie from Xal'atath. It's not true. They do understand it. They do. They have to if they created NAARU. They have to. They get freed. Exactly, Jesus from space. Thank you. And that's a big theme with the light and the void. When you look at the light and the void, which one of them embodies freedom? And which one of them embodies servitude? So you're seeing America. So if you look at it in this way, you can start to see how light is stasis and order, and how it is also like beneficial for life in a sense. I think that the Titans are responsible for the Burning Legion, the existence of it, the NAARU, the Wild Gods, the Titans, of course. I think that they're responsible for the Old Gods. And ultimately, in a sense, if you want to really put it this way, they're kind of responsible for the undead as well. It's kind of all their fault. When I look at the cosmology chart from the Shadowlands, look at how they do this. Light, death, order. They're all on the same side. Shadow. Actually, wait, no, it's like this. It goes like this: shadow, order, death. Pardon me, like this. Light, disorder, life. The actual orientation here makes more sense to me. I actually agree with this. I mean, yeah, I agree a lot with this. What they say in Shadowlands about the first ones is that they made life and death the core of their cycle. I'm not so sure about the truth of that, and I do still think there's a possibility for, if they want to retcon the first ones, I do think that they can turn them into, the Azeroth if they want to. Like, I think that they could still spin it that way, unless they want to just hard retcon that shit. But then you also have your opposites, right? But look at what they have representing for Shadow. Like, these overgrown worlds here. This one's pretty interesting. I would say the Titans are every bit of an invasion force as the Burning Legion. Absolutely. So let me tell you this. Some people think the Shadowlands story is corny. We're going to get into Anduin Wrynn in a little bit, but I want you to think about the possibility that they separated him from the light on purpose. I want you to think about the potential that Anduin Wrynn's story arc required him to be severed from the light. And I want you to think about why. Why would they do that? Anduin Wrynn was just forced into domination by the jailer. He's never going to want to live like that ever again. He understands the true horror of being forced to do things with absolutely no willpower of your own. It's terrifying. Anduin saw all of it. You think that he would let the light come in and do the same thing? Fuck no. Anduin is being severed from the holy light because they are oppressors too. They are control. They are order. And moving forward, they're going to be presented that way. Trust me. It's about to get fucking crazy in the WoW universe because they're not hiding this anymore. They're not hiding what the Titans have been doing anymore. They're putting it right in front of your face. These guys, I hate to say this, chat, but the Titans have beat every cosmic force. They beat the Legion. They beat Death. They literally, the Void doesn't even matter because they can turn it into light and use it as their own tool. They control everything at this point. What stands in the way of the Titans? Who opposes them anymore? Me? Good. I'm glad. I'm glad. But I'm concerned that the characters in the game don't know. That's what's terrifying, is that they don't know. The characters are unaware. And so I worry that by the time that the revelation comes, that it's going to be too late. That their inherent drive for domination and control is what has caused so much suffering. Also, here's the explanation for the Dreadlords while we're on the topic of the NAARU and Light, since it relates. Prince Renethal says, countless ages ago, just after the first Venthyr were sired, Denathrius unveiled another creation, the Nathrezim. Forged to be the ultimate infiltrators, they bore the influence of death into the realms of our rivals, as well as the worlds of the living. Despite their subtlety, one of these incursions was discovered. I'm of the opinion that this was on purpose. In response, the full wrath of the light fell upon Revendreth, setting ablaze the ward once held by the Nathrezim. The armies of Maldraxxus did not rise up to defend us. Holy shit, it's because the Primus. Holy fuck. Yo, this Primus threadline, you're fucking my brain up with the Primus. Holy shit. They did not rise up to defend us, so the Stone Right carved her Stone Legion to strike back against the light. The Primus wouldn't commit an affront against the light because the Primus put the light at the head of the Shadowlands. No, pun fully intended. Yeah, look at that. We literally made a light creature the head of the Shadowlands, and the Primus is the architect of this occurring. That is fucking nuts, dude. Zoval being manipulated by the Primus is one of the most gigabrain fucking storylines ever. But it was depicted so poorly. Fuck. When Sargeras came to the world of Argus and began convincing the Eredar to join the Burning Legion, Velen, one of the 3 Eredar leaders, prayed for help. The NAARU appeared to him in visions, offering to take Velen and any other like-minded Eredar to safety. Velen and his faction accepted, and the NAARU came to rescue Velen and his followers with a dimensional ship named the Genedar. They thus began to call themselves the Draenei, meaning the exiled ones in Eredun. The Genedar then split into 2 different ships, the Genedar and the Zenedar. The Draenei who boarded the Zenedar would become the Lightforged, and went their separate ways, with the former fleeing across the cosmos and the latter openly striking back and fighting the Legion. So the ship that Zira, the Light Mother, had turned... So the ship that has Zero, the Light Mother, on it turned into Lightforge fanatics who were bent on fighting the Legion. The lore here is kind of crazy too. Ture was a powerful Naaru who sacrificed its own life energy to save the planet Karkara from the monstrous Dementius, the All-Devouring. This to me sounds like a one-to-one exchange to an extent. One Naaru for one Void Lord. Shattered itself into fragments in the process. Even broken, Tu'ure's light was undiminished, and its fellow Naaru were soon drawn to its remnants, gathering the fragments and gifting them to various races that they believed showed potential for good. So right here, it kind of sounds like the one powerful Naaru versus one powerful Void Lord. The largest piece was passed to the Eridar of Argus. It is said that the shard plummeted from the sky like a falling star. Remember with this thing in Hollowfall? It is said that this shard of Tu'ure, now it's much smaller, but you gonna tell me that's not Naaru? Oh boy. Oh boy. You guys are like, oh, it cycles from light to darkness? Why does that happen? Because it's teetering on the balance of light and void. And that in there, I'm sure, is probably a Naaru. A fat Naaru. So what do you think the deal was that Sargeras offered three brothers? Power beyond anything they ever witnessed, which was technically accurate. And also, Velen, Archimonde, and Kil'jaeden are not brothers. The truth is that Thalkiel was contacted way before the three of the Triumvirate. Archimonde learned of it next, and since Archimonde had learned of it before the other two, he was the first to accept Sargeras' offer. Then, finally, Sargeras revealed himself to all three of them. Velen was immediately like, nah, because the Naaru had given him visions of them turning into demons. So, again, when I talk about how the Naaru seem to be they were created literally to directly counteract the Legion, I'm not fucking joking. When it's talking about an unstoppable army of the light fighting back against disorder, the Naaru arriving just in time to save the Draenei, and all of this leading to the invasion of the Burning Legion coming to Azeroth, because remember, the fucking Legion followed the Draenei to Draenor, and then they came fucking here through the Dark Portal. This is all connected. It is all connected to the same plot thread. The Naaru are definitely the living will of the Titans. Like, they are definitely shepherds sent by ANR in order to keep the Draenei alive and use them as a means to fight back against the Legion. Doesn't Xal'atath or another Void Naaru mention not hating the Light Naaru? I actually missed this when we were talking. Oh, that they just strayed from the path? Yes, that is correct. This is correct. I don't know if I addressed that in the moment, but Xal'atath does say, yes, that they don't see them. Xal'atath says that though the Naaru may see us as like horrors to be like, you know, refused or something like that, we don't share that view. We just simply see them as brethren who have lost the true path, and they will return to their masters in time. So, dude, the likely... Oh my goodness, that's crazy. If they tried to order entropy and that's why this occurred, that'd be fucked, but let's keep going. And then Shinzai linked this. I always hated the way this is described. Psychotic propaganda. Lordaeron and the Holy Light. After the Troll Wars, a number of human priests began having faint visions and dreams of angelic beings, geometric forms that thrummed with living light. Who in the fuck is responsible for the Naaru? For the Naaru? Can I hear it at one time from the chat? Can I hear an ANR from the chat right now? One time, please. Can I get an ANR in the chat? One time for the one time right now, please. What the fuck? Although they did not know it, the priests had actually communed with the Naaru in the Great Dark Beyond. Through this connection, the Naaru guided the hearts of some humans and introduced them to the Holy Light. From their tenuous encounters with the Naaru, the priests learned to harness the extraordinary healing effects of the light. They also formed a religious movement founded on the tenets of justice, peace, and altruistic works. Popular among common folk, this movement flourished. They fucking put a cult inside humanity and then fucking made it explode. I said, this is the ordering of the human civilization. They're forcing their way in. It's subtle and kind, but it's dangerous. This is why I say this Midnight X-Pack is bait, because the light and the void are both essentially the same tangible threat, but the light will come first.
The seeds of the Pantheon. has come to fight for the fate of your world.
I don't like the way he words that.
You have done well, mortals.
It is time.
We must gather our strength. Return home, children of Azeroth.
And look at this, the light is on their fucking seat! It's on their seat! It's literally right there! And they don't give a shit! Because they know exactly what it is! They know exactly what is going on right here! They're in control of this entire situation!
Illidan, we've done all we can.
Velen, fuck you. Don't try to get him to leave with you. This motherfucker needs to stay here so that when he finds out that they're gonna try to fucking light forge our planet or whatever they're gonna do, that someone can do something.
Every choice.
He's our Gen Kerrigan.
Every sacrifice.
That saves us from the endless cycle of Amon.
To face him.
The light has struck a bargain with the enemy of all. The enemy of all being order. Literally not liking, they want to control everything.